Sr.X, thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks to you for having me.
Very much appreciated. And your work, I first came across it a few years ago on some trips to, actually, tell a lie, the first piece I came across of yours was the one at Urban Spray in Berlin, which is Everything is Fine.
Yeah.
And
It was like 3 years ago or something like that, I think.
Yeah, about that. And what I loved about it, and still love about it, actually, it's the kind of iconic retro imagery. And he's saying everything's fine, but of course, the sweat pouring off him and all this.
Everything is messed up. Yeah, I mean, I love to work with that kind of imagery, like adverts, 50s, 60s, whatever, because, well, the art style of those kind of adverts is quite amazing. I really love the skills that those guys had, but also, the messaging about the incredible happiness and a little bit naive, but you can see, like a kind of a dark twist, like, man, everything is not like that, and it, and you're selling cigarettes and telling that it's awesome, and Pepsi for kids and things like that. And, I kind of find a correlation with that stuff and with what happening in social media now, that you open Instagram or whatever, and it's kind of the same. Everything is wonderful, everything is great, everyone is on holidays all the time and eating nice food. I found that way to express that kind of stuff. I enjoy it. It's super fun to work with that kind of stuff and with those slogans and everything.
And where do you, in terms of sourcing the original imagery, because, I saw you one time on painting on Hanbury Street, and it was the guy with the Zippo where he's lighting the flame, but his head's on fire too. And you were holding the picture of the original image. Where do you find these from?
Well, all over. I have at this stage, I have a pretty big, filing system of that kind of stuff along the years, all over internet, some books that I've got. Just Pinterest. Time ago, I used to use Flickr a lot to find them. And from that is just a question of, mixing them together, change a bit the expressions, change the overall thing to represent that you wanna express, and make it work for, in terms of style and everything, redrawing and restyling everything.
Is that generally how you look at life in terms of, because it's very particular to you, I feel, in the message that you put across in the subversion of the image,
Yeah, basically, so I see life, like a little bit, it can be a little bit cynical, but it's definitely humoristic and ironic. So yeah, it's kind of how I see it.
And what kind of, do you kind of seek to get a certain response from people when you put the art there, or is it just this is your take on life, for example, and then people can take away what they like?
Basically it's the latest, because when I started painting in the street and stuff, the messages were a lot more political and things. Now they are a little bit more, they're not subtle, but it's not that a straight answer, so people, I rather, if it's I like now leaving things a little bit open so people can think whatever they want to think, and I don't really like to explain what they mean, because I found painting is the best way that I have to express myself. If I put that into words, you jump into another medium to express yourself that is not going to be as good as the one that I like to use, that is painting. So I like to leave it a little bit open. For some people, I heard people like thinking a lot of different stuff about my, the meaning of some of the pieces, Well, it's super nice to hear.
And how are you finding, we're in lockdown at the minute. I can see clearly you're in you're in your studio at the minute. How are you finding this in terms of your creativity and what you're working on at the moment?
Pretty much, if I have to be fair, pretty much the same. Because at this time I was not painting in the street that much because I'm working in commissions, studio pieces. So, well, the day by day is kind of the same, just being in the studio working. So, yeah, pretty much the same.
It's almost like you're among the better prepared people for what was happening.
Yeah. I'm like a bit of a hermit, just locked here with my girlfriend. We share the space, and she's an artist also.
Oh,
so
wow.
yeah, we are just here working, having a laugh, and things.
And in terms of, just before I started recording, you were mentioning, kind of, back in Spain, the kind of stuff you used to do. How did where did you, I guess, start with this type of thing? Or, was it a background in kind of graffiti to start with? Or, where, how did you reach the point where you're at now?
Well, I don't come from the graffiti. I never tagged or I never did trains or graffiti or anything like that. I just, I come from graphic design and illustration. One day in a part in my house, I just cut a small stencil, the first one of the face of a guy, and I had a spray can around, and we just went out, and I just bumped the whole town with the stencils, and from there it just went growing, but always from a more like street art or stencil perspective. A bit from there, I just started to think a little bit more about the pieces, like more about what I wanted to express. I'm working on the aesthetic also, and that went leading out where I am. It's just a refinement of what I was doing at the beginning.
And has there been, starting in Spain, and you're in London now, and you've done some fantastic roles there. We spoke about Berlin. Has there been a somewhere that you've been that's been a favorite place to paint?
Well, I've been quite a few festivals, some of them are in super cool places, like small towns. Imagine was in one in Sicily, in a small town by the sea. I mean, like super massive wall with the sun and the food and everything. You can't get it better than that. But apart from that, I think that London is a super good place to paint because you get a lot of legal walls here. You don't have to worry about anything, finishing it quick, or you can work properly on the style. Everyone in the community, you people that are taking pictures and everything is really supportive and really cool people. And there is also a lot of respect for the pieces. They just don't get tagged in one day like it happens in Madrid or in a lot of places in Spain. You paint something, next day is completely trash. So I think that London is a pretty cool place to paint. The main problem here in UK is the bricks, man. It's all full. All the walls are brick walls. That you spend there usually for flat concrete render one. Much nicer to paint.
Yeah, I mean, what's the kind of, is that in terms of what you're painting on, is that the most difficult, would you say then?
No, well, it's a little bit more annoying, you always want a flat surface because it looks better, it's a little bit easier. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not that big of a problem, but it's something that, if you get a super nice flat render wall, it's more enjoyable.
And you're doing a lot of studio work at the minute, and But is there something, you know, specific to putting your work on the street that is there something about that, you know, that creates a connection, you know, that appeals to you?
Well, on the street, as I say, I started with that, and I found that it's like it's really fun to do. Basically, you know, painting big walls, and also, you know, you have a lot of people watching it. Everyone that goes in the street, so you get to more people doing that, and it's, you know, you use different techniques. It's all a little bit more quick. Yeah, you have a nice time just painting on the street. So yeah, that's what I keep doing it. In the other side, you know, in the studio it's a little bit more reflective. You try different techniques. You can do things certainly that you can't do in the street. So they're kind of the same way, but it branches to different techniques, and with those techniques it comes like different concepts, because, you know, some techniques or materials work better for one kind of stuff and some others for another.
Yeah, and you mentioned different techniques. That's, you know, on your Instagram recently you posted some of the sculptures that you've been doing, which
yeah, I'm enjoying that kind of stuff a lot. I just started doing it again, you know, you start just with a hole in wood, and you said, okay, maybe I put a painting behind. Okay, maybe if this painting is not a painting, if I add some rocks, and at the end you end with a full sculpture and going into a really different world. Yeah, that's something that I'm enjoying a lot. And basically I think that is because I well, mainly what I do painting is portraits, no, like kind of figure drawing and just kind of portraits with these different messages. But I always loved the world building, you know, like building your own world. But I don't really like to paint landscapes. So with this way, I found with this thing, the diorama model making, I found a way of creating those micro worlds without having to paint. So I find it more enjoyable, and the result is something that I like.
oh, it's fantastic, and it's kind of, it's just to look at it, you know, what you've been putting out there and put it in displaying. It's mind blowing actually. Just to the thing in itself is, you know, mind blowing, but actually, then you think, how have you actually put this together? You know, it's quite complex. It must take a lot of refinement and.
Yeah, a lot of YouTube videos for that, because when I started doing them, yeah, I didn't have any clue on how to do it. So just trial and error, start working on it. Okay, just thinking, okay, if it doesn't look that well, next one is gonna look better, you know. So just here trying different stuff till you find the way of making it.
And it's been interesting to look at some of your, you know, some of the digital sketches as well. Actually, do you like kind of showing that behind the scenes, if you like, or not necessarily how to, but this is the process that goes into it?
From time to time. The thing is that when I'm working, I'm kind of focused on what I'm doing. I always, you know, a lot of time I intend, okay, this project I'm gonna record little stages of the process. I'm gonna do a video, put them together, you know, short video to show people how to do it, because, you know, people normally are interested on that. Yeah, I'm keen of doing that, but at the end, when I'm working, I said, okay, video, no, better not. I need to keep doing this, you know, don't disturb or anything. Yeah, I think that was me.
Is that yours?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So I always forget. So from time to time, I think about it, I do it, and I just post it. But it's not that I'm not a fan of doing that. It's that, you know, in the process, I rather not to stop and do it.
And despite everything that's going on, there is recently announced the mural festival in September, I believe. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah, I think that is in September. I don't know if it was in August and they move it to September, or it is in September and they move it to October. But yeah, around those dates. Yeah, the guys on Global Street Art are working really hard for that, despite everything, you know. That because I always thought, man, why London doesn't have a big street art festival, you know? There is a lot of street art here and a lot of walls and things. So these guys are creating it. Well, they asked me to be part of it with a couple of walls that, you know, are one wall but is divided in two. I think that is gonna be super cool.
And do you have, without giving too much away, do you have a plan of what you'd like to put on that?
Yeah, I think that the main concept is all set up. So, well, just need to work on it a little bit more, but you know, the main thing is done. That is basically the concept and what you wanna do, and it's gonna be like you know, something fun for the people with a little bit of interaction with the public. That is
enticing.
No, yeah, I think that is gonna look super good.
That sounds good. And do you know, because London's got such a, you know, rich street art scene, it's you know, some fantastic walls, some fantastic graffiti, for example. Things don't tend to have such a long shelf life, so to speak. Do you know if there's an intention for, you know, the wall might be kept for a certain length of time, or is it just
I don't know about the rest. Mine is in a listed building.
Okay. Oh wow.
Yeah, so it's gonna be temporal because they are gonna put some vinyls on it in order that I can paint. You know, you can't drop a drop of paint in the stone or anything.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know for how long it's gonna be. I guess that a few weeks, a month, or a month. They are gonna take it down, obviously, because it's listed.
Sounds
interesting. In a good place in Central, so it's gonna be fun to do. I'm excited about that already.
That sounds great. Look forward to that. Hopefully I can travel and actually get there.
Yeah, I guess that for that day we can all be free and no worry.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Now I was just going to ask some quick fire questions here. I posted a blog recently there's a Facebook page, Street Art Rescue, where they, you know, people just all around the world just post photos of street art and graffiti wherever they find it. The idea being that, you know, things come and go, but you've got a document of it in photography, so it's rescue. So Graham is the guy who suggested this. So this is just for fun, basically. So quick answers. So would you prefer spray can or brush?
Brush.
Okay. Wall or canvas?
Oof, that's super difficult. I will say wood panel.
Okay. Third option.
Because they can be big, you know. So.
High art or lowbrow?
Lowbrow. Well, I don't know, man. When people start talking about that kind of definitions on art, it can go inside a lot of things that, you know, are just for art is a market. Sadly, is the most absurd market in the world. So yeah, it's hard to tell, but yeah, I think that lowbrow.
Okay. Super realistic or super surreal?
Well, I don't think, sorry for not giving you straight answers, but I don't think that are opposites, you know, because, for example, a lot of surrealistic paintings, they do like pretty realistic works, you know, like Magritte or Dali. You know, if you look the objects, they are kind of realistic, despite the composition or what they those objects are doing. Okay, I'll go with super surreal, because hyper realism is something like pretty crazy.
Excellent.
That I love Batman. That people use.
And just a couple more questions. And this is just in terms of kind of influences, really, not necessarily quickfire. But are there? Would you say there are any? Maybe one or two artists who really influenced you, who kind of informed the way that you work.
Yeah, that question is always tricky, because from when they ask it to you from the top of your head, you can't.
I know.
I would say too that they are not modern artists. I mean, group of artists. I'm gonna say those guys that used to paint adverts, and pin-ups and stuff in the 60s, 50s, like Evergreen. Or Norman Rockwell, or that kind of people. I think that they are amazing. The knowledge of the human anatomy and all that is incredible. And also, I'm gonna go for the Renaissance people, or Baroque, or that kind of art. I think that I enjoy more classic art, like super classic, than modern art, and you can learn a lot from those guys. And I think that is, I enjoy more to go to the portrait gallery than going to Tate.
Okay.
That's how it is. I do more classic art than anything else.
It's a good reference. And is there anyone at the moment who you're into, or who you think maybe people should check out?
Man, okay. I will say, yeah, that is one, definitely. I will say a sculpture artist that is called May May.
Okay.
That is incredible. Just look for her in Instagram. It's May May Weird and Beauty. And you can find like super, super incredible, surreal stuff there.
Oh, great, brilliant! I shall look her up, and I'll put a link on the
Okay, yeah, awesome. I'll send it to you.
Brilliant. Well, Sr.X, thank you very much indeed.
No worries. Many thanks for the interest from you. So yeah, that's cool. It was really fun.